So this is a follow-up to our SOAP service project, and here we're just going to do a simple query that gets our customer first name and last name. So what we'll do first is we'll do File, New, and we're going to create an EGB project. Next, project name will be Test Service EGB. Want to make sure you add to the same year, and it's still at test service year. That's great. We'll hit next, and we actually don't need to make a client for that. That's fine. We'll hit finish. We can open the job EE perspective. Exit out of that. So in our EGB module, we can add a new class. We can call this Customer Manager. And we can create a new package as well, com.militarycars.entities.managers. All right, so there we go. This is going to be at state list, and we get start. So we have our customer manage class, but before we do that, I actually want to create a logger. I'm just going to call this logger manager. com.militarycars.utility. Okay. So for the logger class, I already have some pretty standard code that I'm going to use again. It's pretty much all the same, except the package name. So I'll just delete the first line over here. I will have to import a jar into my ear, which I have not done yet. So we can do that. So I already have an ear with it inside lib, and this log4j right here. That's what I'm going to copy. Go back to where my project is. Here, I'll create a new folder called lib. Paste it in. I'll do an F5 on my ear. I can see my lib. That's fantastic. And look, my errors went away. Yay! So what I'm also going to need is I'm going to need a log4j property file. And this property file is going to specify where I'm actually going to save my logs. And right now it's to my business, so we can actually change that to test service. And we will copy the log property file into my project as well. Let's see. Or actually, I'll just make a new property file really quick. New class log4j.property. This is not a new class, this is just a file. That's my fault. I'm just going to copy and paste everything in. I'll hit the source so I can see everything quick. And this will be test service. I'll just copy that instead of my business. Okay, great. And here you can say that it specifies log4j properties, and we have the same name, so there should be no problem with our logging. Also, I kind of got distracted, so I'm just going to show you something really quick. If you put a property inside of our Web.xml, which I already have here, it's JDNI name, and the value is test. I labeled it as a string. I'm going to show you how you can actually get the value, and it's pretty simple. It's not too complicated. And we'll just do it and say hello, and we'll just do a quick printout too. And we have initial context. We're going to have to import that, and we'll change this to JDNI name. We'll say string as test. Them out on that. And when we run say hello, it should actually print out on our console. Should be over here. What's going on? So let's publish and try that out. So I just published, and I have my arguments here. Say hello. Go. Here, you can see in the console, I have my just amount print line, and it says test, and that's what I specified in environment value. So that works. I'm actually going to get rid of this for now. I'm going to hard code my data source because this is just a test anyway. All right. So something that we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to get the customer, and if we get any errors, or in general, we're just going to have to log our application. So I actually just created some code really quick, and here we have a red error. I'll explain that in a second. So we have our JDNI, and that's hard-coded, and that's what you'd be getting from Web.xml dynamically. We have our database connection, our SQL statement, and our result set. We have our logger, and here we just connect to the database, just a simple initialization, and here's a disconnect. We'll do that, these two in the beginning and the end. So we have our user, which is first name and last name. We'd probably create a different entity, but this is just a test. User will initiate the object here, and at the bottom we're going to return the user. We have our SQL, select CM first, CM last, from quest36f.cms, where CM cost equals question mark. And we're going to have a prepared statement. So when you have a prepared statement, essentially what you're doing is we're going to replace the question mark with a defined value, and it doesn't allow SQL injections. That's what's good about prepared statements. So we'll do a try, we'll do a connect. We'll prepare our SQL statement right here. We'll say our result set. We'll actually execute the query, but before that, we're going to have to replace that value in result set SQL statement that string. And we're going to do 1 because it's the first parameter, and we're going to replace that with customer number. Now it will work. Let's get the query. While results at .next, that will actually say, oh, do we have any results? If so, great. We'll loop through that, and we'll get our first name and last name. We'll set that to the user. The break will exit out of the while loop, so we won't do this more than once in case there are multiple things in a result set. Then we'll just do some quick debugging. This isn't the best, but it says got customer, and it says customer number. Maybe you want to put name there, whatever. And we have error logging in case something goes wrong. Error getting customer, and then you do comma E, and that will actually be our exception. We could have also printed our SQL here. Then we have a finally clause, and this will always happen. And here we will disconnect. And it's good to have your disconnection in a finally clause so you don't leave any connections pools open. The reason the user is red is because it lives in the dynamic web project, not in our EGB project over here. So I'm just going to drag it down, and it really should be in its own package. But just so you get rid of the error, there's one more error right here. If we actually, let's create a package for this. Package military cars.entities. Package already exists, of course it does. Well, we'll leave it in here. This is only a test. This line is wrong. All right, so the red goes away there, but instead it comes to the test SOAP service. And the reason it's over here is because our user's no longer there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to say right-click properties, Java build path, but we're going to add a reference pretty much to our EGB so that we can access anything there, and it goes away. we're going to have to do that anyway because we're going to inject the EJB here. The customer manager, and we are going to say hello to our user. Say hello. It's going to be a fun method. Then say get customer name, and that name, instead of using when they say hello, hopefully they're going to pass in a customer number. Method return type to user. User equals return user dot get first name plus get last name. Okay, so this should be pretty good for testing. Let's publish to the server. Say hello. We'll pass in a customer number. Well, I actually tried publishing and didn't like it, so I'm going to do it right this time. I made a new patch, com.militarycars.entities. I created a custom in there as well. I'm just going to copy all the user data from that right there. And, that should pretty much do the trick, I'm thinking. Our customer manager, instead of user, we'll just do customer. The variable name, we can leave that because it really doesn't affect anything. It's just the name extension. Do an import, that's fine. From the test soap service, we'll import our EGB. We have the customer manager again. Change that. Customer. We'll see if this publishes because I was getting some trouble before. Looks like it did not correspond to what I had in the WSDL. Hopefully this does. That's not found exception. So I'm going to look at this really quick. So I had to fix my log4j property file. It was actually inside this folder instead of my EGB module folder. Another thing I did was I took out the @web param because it won't work with my current WSDL. I would have to republish, and then I published. And then if we see, I typed in a customer number. If I hit go, I get Maxine Carr. I could try another guy really quick. I don't know who this is. Justin Bogart. That's how you do it. And I'll just give a quick run through of what we did. So first we created a class at stateless, and it's a web service. Originally we only started with the name, test soap service. We started with one method. Here we're going to take in a name, also our customer number, just because that's how we did it. And we're injecting an EGB over here, the customer manager EGB, which is going to live right here. Also, to make this project work, in case the references were wrong, we had to click Properties, Java Build Path, we hit Add. We made sure that the EGB was added. We'll go inside the Customer Manager class really quick. It will connect and disconnect to the database. However, the JDNI is hard-coded where we can get it from the Web.xml. We have our prepared statement here. We'll get the first name and last name. Then we'll return it. We have logs. We have a debugger log. We have an error log. There's also a runtime log. If you just hit LM and then you hit dot get, we can see console logger, duplicates logger, export logger, and all those are already made in our logger manager class. Go there really quick, and here you can see the different kinds that we have. When we run it, the logs actually get produced to our C drive. This is where my server is installed, IBM. It's WebSphere, it's App Server 8.5, and then if we go to Profiles, App Server 02, Logs, bin, Logs, and we see we have a new folder called Test Service. That's what we specified in the Log4j properties, and we have a debug log that I think we wrote to. So we should have something. Got customer null. Um, Probably not refreshed to the latest. I also have errors, so you guys probably can see that. Yeah, but it's working. And the last thing we had to do was we had the customer, which had to stay inside of our EGV project because we couldn't access it from a dynamic web project, but the user stayed inside the test service. So that's a quick run through. I hope you understood everything. Okay.